Trevor Bauer, and so several of the baseballs he was using in his last start were taken for analysis by the umpiring crew to find out if he was applying foreign substance. For those that don't know, he's the one that was really outspoken about the Astros cheating, which, well, I guess they were in some form or fashion. What do you make of that with Trevor Bauer?
So I think Trevor Bauer is kind of a genius, right? I mean, he literally, the way his mind works is not how most of our minds work. But sometimes geniuses are exhausting. And he has been very interested in spin rate on baseballs for a long time, before it became sort of part of the mainstream baseball discussion. And he has said over the years that his conclusion is the only way you can really, really increase spin rate is by putting foreign substances on the ball. And there have been times over his career where sort of out of nowhere, for a month, his spin rate has really increased. And some smart baseball writers have noticed that and said, Trevor, what's going on with the spin rate? And it's kind of like, well, I don't know. That he is the type of guy who I think he figures out a problem, and then I think he might be putting stuff on the ball just as like a test of the world to see if they would notice, like how far can he push the envelope? Because he sort of thinks like a step ahead of most people. I don't know that there's anybody in baseball who has thought about pitching and broken it down more than Trevor Bauer. And that includes pitching coaches who are 60 years old. But in conclusion, it's exhausting. And I'm kind of glad that we aren't having this discussion while he's a Cleveland Indian. He's a really good pitcher, but man, sometimes he just wears you out. And I think Terry Francona is probably thinking the same thing, that if this was happening with the Indians, it would sort of be like the last thing they need right now, even though he's awesome. But sometimes there's other really good pitchers who don't take as much out of you.
Yeah, I would agree. And I always got the impression when I talked to Trevor Bauer, I was like, boy, you put a lot more thought in the answer you just gave me than I did in the question that I asked you. And I would get that impression from him every time I talked to him.
He feels like the kind of guy that if you went out to dinner with him, he'd be able to tell you like the DNA makeup of like the steak you're eating and how the best potatoes are actually grown in this state instead of the other state. And you just be like, can I eat my baked potato, man? Like, I don't want a physics lesson about growing potatoes, right? That he is. And I don't, maybe that's our problem, Dave. Maybe we need to be more open-minded about it. I wasn't around Trevor a lot, but like, I remember when he was dealt and I was there that night, and there was with Terry Francona and Trevor Bauer, you got to put a lot of energy into the relationship. But if you can do it, I think as a manager, as a franchise, as a team, as a clubhouse, as a teammate, he might go 26-4 with a 1.87 ERA. Like, you'll get something out of it, but this is part of it. And like, Shane Bieber's just as good as Trevor Bauer, and I don't think he's making you worry about this.